All right, we have a quorum, more than a quorum, and I'll call this special council meeting to order. There is one additional bylaw that needs to be added, and it relates to the food trucks. Therefore, it would require 2/3 of those present to add it to it. I'll just read the reference that was just given to me. This amendment removes the class of refreshment vehicles that are essentially food trucks from our existing bylaw and clarifies that food trucks will be dealt with under the new bylaw, which is on our agenda today. This amendment should go before at the same time as the food truck bylaw, as it is part of implementing Council's direction. So with that, moved by Councillor Ioannidis, seconded by Councillor Banovich to add it to the agenda. Those in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. So we'll now deal with there are two tenders on the agenda for us today. The first is the golf carts. Or is there anyone, first of all, prepared to move the two tenders? Councillor Ioannidis, Councillor Yanatsky. Questions? I'm not sure. Oh, John, do you want to, I think you've got some papers perhaps on that one. That one is listed as being on. Okay, thanks. Councillor Yanatsky. On which item?
Both.
Okay, go ahead. Let's deal with the first one first. The golf carts.
Yeah, the golf carts issue. I know on an annual basis they are sort of replaced. And we're talking 32 golf carts this year. What does that convert to per golf cart in terms of the cost?
$4,000.
Is it as simple as just dividing one into the other, or is there something else? Like,
just hang on a sec. Just hang on a second. Mr. Gordon?
Yes, the gas carts and the electric carts are different prices.
And they're different prices, but
yes.
which one's more expensive? Which one's cheaper?
Well, the electric carts are a little more expensive than the gas.
I'm sorry, say it again?
The electric carts are more expensive than the gas carts.
So why wouldn't we just use the one that's the cheaper one all around? Or is there a purpose to having one and the other for whatever rationale?
Someone prepared to comment on that? Mr. May.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would say for two reasons. First of all, we now have the infrastructure to power up the electric carts, and so the operating costs, I suspect, would be lower. But probably more importantly, from a customer service perspective, I think electric carts are really a basic core service that golf courses are expected to offer. We keep the gas-powered carts as a smaller portion of our fleet because they are not preferred by customers.
So you have fewer gas ones, is that what you said, versus electric?
That's correct. We keep the gas ones basically in case something should happen to the power station and we're not, if we lose power or whatever and we're not able to charge up the electric carts, right. We've got a fleet available.
So in this particular purchase of the 32, how many are gas and how many are electric? Just out of curiosity.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there
Yes.
are 12 electrics and 20 gas in this particular purchase.
Okay.
The average cost is over there, all of them, is $3,071. All in.
That's average for both combined. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Okay.
Based on the figures, the 98,000 figure on page
Right.
1-2.
Okay. Do I have questions on the next one, or do we wait for this?
Are there any other questions on the golf carts? Councillor Gazzola.
Yeah, I wondered the number. I'm surprised that the number of gas are so high that you're purchasing.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can certainly provide more detail by email. It's a function of what carts are needing to be replaced this year. It could just happen to be that we happen to have a greater need this year, but that our overall fleet is more focused on electric.
What are the total number of carts that we own?
I don't have that information, but I can provide you with full details by email.
I just, like one of the reasons, and I wanted Councillor Yanetsky to look at it, at the environmentalists beside him, that there's a big difference in what it does to our environment, right, between the two. The other question I had, and I was surprised that the gas-powered carts are increasing by 21%, which seems an awful high figure, even the 9% for electricity. What has happened there? That seems like a tremendous increase, especially for gas.
Yeah. Mr. Gordon?
I can't explain what the difference in the gas price units are versus the electric, but these were the low bids of all the bids that we received.
All right, it would be interesting if you're able to find out what has gone. You know, there's nothing we can do, but perhaps we can in the future. The other question I have now, are rates, are rates going to change for rentals now when you look at such a high increase in the price that we're paying?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have the information on what the golf cart costs, but I could certainly provide that by email.
Okay, anything, I've had 3 speakers here. I don't know if it's still on the golf carts. Okay. Councillor Davey, was yours on golf carts? No. Okay. Councillor Fernandez?
Thank you. I don't really have a question. I just more of a comment that I understand that we need a balanced approach between electric and gas because of the possibility that we wouldn't be able to power up the electric ones. But I think that we should be continuing to source out more electric, just because in essence it is better for the environment, but notwithstanding the fact that there is an additional cost for some of them. Thanks.
Okay, we'll now move to the second. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, one question as a result of Councillor Gazzola's comment. Question came to my mind. What's the lifespan of a golf cart in terms of that we use gas versus electric? Is that something can be answered?
Mr. May.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do not know the lifespan of a golf cart, but I can certainly provide that by email.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you keep your microphone on, Councillor Yanetsky. Go to the second tender, please. You have a question on that?
The Cherbourg Farm barn restoration. I remember I was involved with that back in the days of Heritage Committee. My question comes down to is, I see that Mr. Sleeth has been involved with the tender, but my involvement at the time was with Mr. Leon Bensasson, the Heritage Planner, and I'm just wondering whether he has been involved in this particular preparation of the report.
You want to know who was involved?
Leon Bensasson, the Heritage Planner, on this, because that's who I was dealing with back years ago.
And how is that relevant to the tender?
Well, I'm just wondering what his comments would have been on this particular scenario.
Who can, I don't know that it's all that relevant, but a very quick response. We dealt with the heritage aspect of it before. Who's speaking to it? Okay. William?
The restoration of the Sherg barn was the subject of a heritage permit application, which was fully reviewed by committee, and Leon was involved in that. And Leon confirmed with me last Friday that the objectives of that heritage application are being met with the current tendered work.
Okay, that's exactly what I want to know. Thank you.
Councillor Davey?
Thank you. Just very quickly, I know we dealt with this at budget time, but just reading the background here, something I wasn't aware of. So if I understand correctly, it was designated heritage, but then the structure was actually torn down afterwards. So what we have here is a heritage foundation. So is the intention then to, at some point, rebuild the rest of the structure as well, I guess?
This is I believe this is the same one that already has the beams around the outside, the structure. So it is, there's a plaque there, there are a number of things. This is dealing strictly with the foundation. There has been some substantial work that was already done on this site, and this has to do, as I understand it, with the stoneworks of it exists right now.
Okay, so I guess my question then would be, is there intention at some future point for the City of Kitchener to rebuild the actual rest of the structure?
I'll just give a quick comment. I don't know if anyone else has better information. My answer would be no. In fact, some of the boards that were taken from that barn were used as part of the construction of the new Waterloo Region Museum. They originally were going to be part of some support beams, but they found they weren't of sufficient strength, so they cut them off. And when you walk into the main area, the wall is now those boards they're cut out.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gazzola.
I just wanted to add to that at the time when it became impossible to save the structure, a lot of the boards were saved and put in our storage. So right. I would be interesting to hear from our Heritage Committee on what their thoughts were about the future of that. I thought that at one point there was the desire that perhaps it would be reconstructed. That's something that the Heritage Committee or our Heritage staff could respond to. It's not urgent today.
Right. Mr. Wilmer, do you have some additional information on that?
So through the mayor, and I'm just going by recollection on this, my understanding was that the two things. There weren't enough of the materials that were in good condition that we could essentially reassemble the barn. We also didn't want the ongoing maintenance cost of owning and operating a barn forever. So I think what was decided was that some of the materials could be used on site as sort of an interpretive feature, so that people could understand that here's the foundation and here's what a barn structure or the skeleton of it might have looked like. Others have already been repurposed in the Waterloo Region Museum, and there's other materials that can also be repurposed as part of any other city facility as we're renovating it or constructing a new one. So I think we had already ruled out the possibility of reassembling a barn.
Part of the superstructure is there, like the bones, the skeleton of the barn, with interpretation signs around it. Okay, I see no further speakers then. Those in favor of the two tenders? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Then move to the authorization for the in-camera session, moved by Councillor Ioannidis, seconded by Councillor Davey. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And then the three bylaws. We've added the one bylaw related to food trucks in addition to the printed one. Those, move for the bylaws, Councillor Ioannidis, seconded by Councillor Brabanovic. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We are now adjourned to the caucus room.